I'm Insomniac, and this is the Pagani design PD-1722. Before we get into the specific sections of the review, I'll just get this out of the way now. Clearly, this watch is an homage to the IWC model, hold on a minute, IW500703. And homage is an understatement here. Also, the watch specs for this review are down in the video description. And that's it. Let's get into it. The case on the 1722 is predominantly polished with the exception of the case sides and engraved surface around the exhibition window. Both the machining and finishing are surprisingly well done for a watch this cheap. The screw-down exhibition case back shows off the Cal.2C-22 automatic movement, but to me it shows something even more important than that. It shows that most other watch manufacturers are lazy, because Pagani Design, an affordable Chinese manufacturer that makes homage pieces, manages to give you a good-looking skeletonized rotor with the Pagani Design logo literally CNC'd into it, yet most watches that I review cost 3 times this and have more of a plain undecorated rotor, or maybe they slap a brand logo sticker on the rotor. If Pagani Design can give you a rotor like this, especially once you see what this watch costs, other watch brands could do it too, they just don't. The screw-down crown on this watch is a little bit too small for the case proportionately, but I found it to be plenty grippy, which made winding and setting the watch nice and easy. Overall, the case has a nice presence on the wrist and a nice degree of elegance without looking too dressy. Not bad at all. Stylistically, the dial on this watch, minus the branding and text of course, is a lawsuit-worthy clone of the IWC it's modeled after. It's a plain flat black dial with a small railroad-style printed minute track around the outer edge with applied numerals and indices for the hours. You have the Pagani Design logo applied under the 12, while down where the 6 would normally be you have a nice large date window, although that's one aesthetic detail that Pagani Design definitely got wrong. They used a white date disc with black numerals instead of a black date disc with white numerals. This kind of sticks out like an eyesore. Above the date window, you have 3 lines of unnecessary printed text, I guess just to add a little bit of balance with the logo and text at the top of the dial. Then you have 2 large subdials backed by a nice concentric circular pattern and white printing. The 9 o'clock subdial is a running second counter, while the 3 o'clock subdial is a power reserve meter. Last but not least, we have the hands, all done in the same basic shapes and styles as the hands on the IWC. All polished well to match the numerals and case, and all of the hands are perfect lengths for their respective dials. So I can't give Pagani Design any credit for the aesthetic here, technically, being that they didn't design it, but minus the date disc, they did a nice job of capturing the overall look of the piece it's modeled after. You have 2 usable complications on this watch, the date at 6 o'clock and a power reserve indicator at 3 o'clock. Both of these complications are super useful complications for daily use, and you have a nice large legible layout for both. So no complaints here. Time at a glance is a tricky one on this watch. You probably won't be able to tell under the bright studio lights here, but it's actually not always easy to find the hands on this watch. The polished finish on the main hands seems to sometimes reflect darker shades to the extent that even in medium light situations, the ends of the hands get lost, and in low light situations, you can't really see anything here other than the white printing. Even the numerals get lost without a good amount of light. With that said though, the hands all have great tips to them, and the minute hand stretches all the way out to the minute track, so in high or fair light conditions, it's a breeze to find the time on this watch at a quick glance. With the exception of the buckle on this strap, which Pagani Design did a really nice job with, the strap is a disaster. Although before I continue, I always point out that the strap is the least important thing on a watch, being that you can swap it out yourself and for cheap. The faux alligator pattern isn't really overdone, so between that and the nice buckle, it looks the part with this watch completely. But the strap is thin, feels cheap, the adjustable free loop doesn't like to stay in place throughout the day and often slips off the end of the strap, and believe it or not, I found this strap to be fairly uncomfortable, which is rare for a fairly thin leather strap in my experience. Visually it looks the part, but I'd recommend replacing the strap if you grab one of these 1722s. Last but not least, we have value, and if you read the title of this review and you were a little bit confused, let me clear it up for you. A lot of watch lovers look down on brands like Pagani Design for making clear copies of other watches that we politely refer to as homage pieces to watches that we all know and love. It has a Chinese movement in it, which, as you saw in the accuracy section, this particular one is going to need some serious regulating or something. You'll also probably need to replace the strap in a week, and there's nothing unique about it because Pagani Design didn't design it. But the build quality for the price is amazing, and the attention to detail given the price point is far above acceptable. And for many of you watching this video, you probably can't reasonably afford about $10,000 for the actual IWC this is modeled after, which is about what those sell for at the time of this video. This watch on the Pagani Design website sells for $110 brand new, and on some third-party sites it sells for even less than that. Pagani Design is making it hard to deny the value of their homage pieces when you're getting quality and attention to detail like this. And if you don't believe me based on this one review, just go back and watch any of my other Pagani Design reviews. They're not investment pieces, and honestly they're not even really great collectible watches. But for someone looking for a good-looking mechanical alternative to the IWC that they don't have 10 grand for, it's an awesome value. To see my review on another surprising Pagani Design watch, click here.